Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Threw my virtues to the ground, drinking from the devil's cup. Take that pill, drink it down, flashing lights all around. I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going down without a fight. As long as I'm still breathing, doesn't matter how hard you might try. We can take this freedom. Waking up, I'm a mess, sleeping on the bathroom floor. Last night's a blur, don't know for sure, but I'm ready for another.
Okay, this is the Overpass live stream. My name is Eric and I make apps. So it's been a pretty cool week. It's a lot of stuff happening this week, but the big thing is I had my birthday this week, which was kind of cool, and took a day off work, which is something I don't do very often, and it's something I need to do more. So it's boiling in this office. Oh, let me open the window here just a second. It is. I hate to complain about the heat, because every time I do that, you guys all talk about how much warmer it is where you guys live. But it's just been really warm today, and it's trying to get work done, and at the same time sweating. And I didn't realize we got this one project where my temper's kind of gone up a little bit, and just so everything's going well. Sandeep, hey, how's it going? Fighter 1990, hey, how's it going? Let's see. Azimuth, hey, how's it going? Tim is here. Krishna, let's see. Sandeep, yeah, Sandeep, are you the one who told me to schedule it this time? So hopefully that works out. Yes, the power of scheduling. Yeah, see, I never thought about scheduling it before, for the same reason I don't like to pre-book movie tickets, because I always think, what if something happens and I'm not able to make it? So, which is kind of ridiculous, but. So yeah, rather than just pop up, we schedule it this time. We'll see how that goes. We've also got the next week, hopefully next week, I've got a new guy starting who's going to help with video editing. So I'm hoping the videos get a little bit better next week. I've been doing since I had one employee who she left about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and since then I've been doing the video editing again. So I've been trying to keep up with it, and they may have been getting a bit boring. And I want to get a bit more exciting. There was a time last week where I took an electric car out. Somebody drove up, and we went and ride in that. And that was kind of fun, because it was nice to edit that together and everything. But so hopefully next week the videos will get a bit better, and then someone to help look after the YouTube channel to schedule these kind of things and get a little bit more methodical about them. Right now we had like a really good system a couple weeks ago where I would record the videos, I'd upload them to Google Drive. We had one office administrator. She was in the office, so she would download them and edit them, and then our designer would do the thumbnails, and then my VA would write. Rowena, she would write the descriptions and the keywords and everything like that. And it all sounds really well. It works like a well-oiled machine, but then there's always there's illnesses, and there's all things just happen, and it kind of falls apart. And now I'm back to editing again. So, but they're still doing their part, so that's kind of cool. So. Let's see. So, hey, Jennifer, hey, how's it going? You can schedule on Friday mornings. I'll also be able to schedule by that time. Cool. Hey, G. Henny, how's it going? So this week, can you tell me about incentivized ads provider? Good idea. Let's talk about incentivized ads here in a minute, or rewarded ads here in a few minutes. I'll talk about some of my experience with those and that. This week like I said, I missed Monday because I took the day off for my birthday, went to the beach. We talked about we talked a little bit about the best place to live in the world as an app developer, and there were some pretty good answers to that. I mean, if you read through the comments, I think Rodrigo and someone else were talking about Chiang Mai in Thailand, and I thought, ooh, that sounds awesome. Like, my dream is that I could like go live someplace and work for like a month and just chill out. But I've always got so much going on. Even this week, I had a few client meetings where I drove to and put the suit on, and I drove out there, and like today, there was one point today where the phone was just ringing off the hook, and I just was like, the heat in the office was going up and up, and I just had all this stuff going on, and I got a big to-do list which I haven't got through today, which I'm gonna have to work on tomorrow. So, but yeah, incentivized ads. So Krishna Singh's ads. Can you tell about best incentivized ads provider? I can't tell you which the best is. I can tell you the ones that I've tried. So in terms of incentivized ads, that's rewarded ads. So you probably see them in other apps if you're not using them yourself. So you could say, watch this video and you'll unlock a feature, or you'll get points or whatever, get coins. And it's, rather than just showing an ad, you could say, it's like a contract with the user. They say you have to watch this ad, and then you'll do it, and it's higher eCPMs supposedly. Now I haven't really found that to be the case. Originally I started it with Vungle. I started Vungle and Ad Colony, which were the two video ad networks. This was a few years ago. I was talking to this app guru who he was in my mastermind group, and he wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with me, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Which was really what he wanted to do, was sell me his services or whatever. And he kept doing things like saying, have you tried Vungle? Well, they have an eCPM of $10 they have a $10 eCPM, and you're making $2, so already this phone call has made you thousands of dollars a month. Which wasn't true, because when I did go through Vungle, I didn't make anything. I mean, it was like I could see the ad impressions going through, but no, didn't make any money. But now I use the rewarded ads through Google Play. So Google Play did have rewarded ads through ad mediation. So I had that through AppLovin initially, and that was doing okay. And then I had it going through just through rewarded ads in AdMob. And those, I can't tell you what the RPM is, because I can't even remember what the RPM is. But because it just, a lot of times I just look at it per app. And I'm not allowed to tell you what that is. But it was better than Interstitials. It was better than Interstitials, and it was way better than banners. So it's there. And that was one of the things. I'd seen a presentation by Google Play. It was one of their Android developer things, where they're talking about if your conversion rate on in-app purchase is really, really low, you might as well, like 0.02%, which it is for me, then you might as well try to have a way that they could still unlock those features through in-app purchases, but maybe you could do it through a rewarded ad, right? Which we tried for a bit, and yeah, I think it did okay. I mean, if you're not gonna make money through one method, you might as well do it through the other. But so this one guy that I spoke to, this app guru, he was saying you watch 10 ads and then it unlocks a feature. That made more sense to me. So I was like, okay, watch 10 ads and you'll unlock this feature and everything. So I thought that'll be better, because then they earn up. And the problem was the fill rate was so low that they never even got 10 ads. They would get like maybe 3 ads, and they just get angry that they're watching all these ads. And plus, it's not really good. I mean, I don't understand why anybody would do that in terms of as an advertiser, because well, I guess you're forcing them to sit down and watch it, but you kind of hope that you could put something in front of someone and they'd be interested in it. So let's so that's really all I know about incentivized ads. I've done it a little bit. It does pay better, but you do. Flighter 1990 says, what do you think about reviews exchanges? I use one. There was a guy a few years ago called, his name was Taylor or Tyler, I can't remember, and you made karma points. It was a review exchange application, and he said it's all legitimate, right? But it just seemed kind of dodgy, and I think I did through, and I went and did a couple of reviews, and I got a couple of reviews to my app. The reviews to my app were like 5-star reviews, and it seems to be the kind of thing that, while they were saying it's not because you're not paying for it, that it's still it's legitimate. It just seemed illegitimate to me, like the kind of thing they would crack down on eventually. But at one point, there was another kind of, it was one of these things where someone telling me, oh yeah, no, I'm this guru, you pay me, I'll be your consultant, and then they say, oh yeah, no, do this app review exchanges because it works fantastically, and then you try it and you say, yeah, it doesn't work that well, and then once you start asking, like, can you show me your numbers? They won't show you their numbers. This is one of the things that gets me. I did one video where I showed my ad mob, and the reason I took it down was because everybody said, hey, you're not allowed to do that. Otherwise, I would show you guys my ad mob all the time. I talk about my revenue all the time, but it's, you know, you get a lot of that. Hey, True Dreams, hey, how's it going? You get a lot of that. I did a video once called App Gurus, or no, App Vultures, which is like if you release an app, and especially if it starts to get a bit of traction, you'll notice you get a whole new level of spam. You'll get people contacting you saying, hey, I can put you on the top of Google Play. I can make this happen. I can make this happen. I can make this happen. But when you ask to see their numbers, they don't really have them, right? And if they were really that good, you could say, how about I pay you a percentage of whatever you make me? But they won't take that because they, you know, it's just not, it's a dark art, right? Let's see. Sandeep says, we are in touch since your Snapchat active days. Yeah, I haven't done Snapchat in ages. Cool days of Euro 150 plus earning for you. Miss you showing off going to your office at 4 a.m. Used to motivate me a lot. Yeah, you know what? Lately, especially this week, I have not been getting up early at all. I've been getting up and just rolling into the office around 8:30. So it's like a mile away. So it's not that bad. And it's just I'm taking a slow week, and I think it's because I took Monday off and the kids are off school. Today's the first week that the kids are off school. Might be the second week for the entire week. So I'm just kind of, yeah, doing that, and it's not really good. I mean, I need to get back into the getting up really early because, you know, you just get so much more done. But then also I'm trying to see, the thing was, I got a book. So my youngest son bought me for my birthday. He bought me this book called Ninja Productivity or Productivity Ninja. I can't remember what it was, but it's, you know, I've seen it at the bookstore a lot. So I was reading through that. It talks about meditation and slowing down and, you know, prioritizing and don't be so stressed and everything. So I'm trying to be less stressed, but I'm worried now that I'm not getting enough done. So, hey, DS Bailey, hey, how's it going? Flighter 1990. I tried AET Studios incentivized ads. I never even heard of AET Studios. Is that new, or is that just, are they really small, or are they regional? Yeah, so yeah, if you use, so Sandeep says Krishna used AdMob mediation for incentivized video ads. Check out Game Clans War, Shadow Fight, whatever. So yeah, so if you use AdMob for incentivized ads, you could still use the mediation networks through there. So at least you have that one method in, and you could do that. So Ice Cream app says, when will you expand your company? Overpass. I need to. I really need to. I had one employee. We've got a team overseas. I got a person starting on Monday. It sounds like it's growing, but it's not really. I got a person starting on Monday to help with the video editing, but it's really a case of just like there's so much work on that I can't handle it. But this time I want to streamline things a lot better when we go forward. So, you know, I definitely need to get somebody in. Into the office. I think I need a developer here on site with me, but then I also need a project manager also. So, all right. So I was looking for a project manager, thinking, okay, we got so much going on, and it's not just me in the middle. So I'm meeting with new clients. I got existing clients. There's and then also the developers follow up on that, and I think a project manager, that would be ideal. But here's the problem: after all those years in corporate working with project managers, I don't really like project managers. I don't like the way that they're always so negative and they're always, you know, on my case and everything as a developer. So it's really hard when I have conversations with project managers to hire them, that they're just, you know, they like I don't know. It's just something about it where I think I flash back to the days where they're, Eric, where are we with this? Would you say that we're 70% or 75% way through? Would you say that we're, you know, what percentage of the way complete would you be done? It's like, and I would always say stuff like 63.5%, and they would be like, okay, and they wouldn't even know. They'd be yes, right, because it's, I mean, a lot of the things we were doing is binary, you know. It's just like, you know, there's no such thing as 90% through with a software project. That's just what developers think they are. So it's a perceived way through. So Sid Hearth, hey Eric, how's it going? Hey Eric. Mega Man, hey, watching you on my phone. Cool. All right. Well, I mean, I guess that sounds good. Azimuth, have you heard about developers whose paid versions of their apps were suspended? Some accounts were even terminated. Now here's the thing. This is what we talked about last week, and I even did a video about it, I think on Saturday. And it turns out that a lot of the people who were suspended were they had like 2 accounts. Like, so it was the duplicates was in 2 accounts, and even everybody started saying you got like 30 days to make these changes. There shouldn't be any suspensions this early on. So it's something that has slowed down my fear of it. I mean, last Friday I was literally going to bed thinking maybe I should remove all the pro apps now if this is happening. It sounds like it's really bad out there. And then, you know, everything just sort of subsided. You know, you start to come up with these people who are on Reddit who what they're saying is that, you know, actually their pro versions on one account and their free versions on another account, and I only have the one account. So I'm hoping, what I'm hoping is if I do get a suspension of an app because of that kind of thing, it won't be because of trying to trick them or anything like that. So if you go through and appeal it, say, hey, you know, can you remove this mark from my account because I wasn't definitely not trying to do something wrong, right? If you guys don't want to have pro apps, then tell us. You know, there's certain things like we did. So one of the videos we did this past week talking about when AdMob is suspended, and I was really trying to tiptoe around that subject because I know that if you get suspended for doing the wrong thing, then that's one thing. If you get suspended because you misunderstood the instructions, that's another thing. Or because, you know, the terms and conditions are open to different levels of interpretation. So like which is most of the time what it is. You're just thinking, well, okay, I know that that's what it says, but does it really mean that? I mean, the same thing we're asking about, does repetitive content apply to free and paid apps? That's what we're all wondering, that because it's not really that clear. And I think we'll find out eventually. But if it's something where you're genuinely trying to fool them, then that's something else. Also, there was True Dreams that asked this week if you put keywords in your responses to your reviews, would they ban you? And I don't think so, because I don't think you're not trying to, something like that is not something where you're trying to do anything wrong. You're trying to market your application. You're not trying to trick anyone. You're not trying to take anything from anyone. You're not trying, you know, it's different than illegal clicks in AdMob where you're actually stealing from the ad networks. So let's see. Sidhart says, I can help you, Eric. Try me. Help me what? I'm sorry, I lost the train. Let's see, Flighter 1990 says, I tried IET Studios incentivized ads because they give $5 free trial to show how their ad works, and I can say that works pretty well. So are you talking about as a publisher, or are you talking about as a so as a advertiser or as a publisher? So are you earning money from them, or are you using them to advertise your application? Because there's the two sides of that. So it's not, if they're giving you $5 free, it sounds like you're using them to promote your app, and that would be really good to see how well that works. Sandeep says, man, I'm afraid of starting active income streams. Handling client expectations when they demand is so tiring. Just want more passive income streams. Passive income is better. I mean, in fact, even a lot of the clients that we have, what they're trying to do is get passive income. We're all trying to build something that makes passive income, or at least, if not passive income, something that generates revenue on a consistent basis. So like if you were to set up a really good process, like if you're doing app development for clients, if you could set up a process where you can remove yourself from that process, then in a way it's its own passive revenue. You still have the overheads of hiring those people, but if they know what they do and you're not like necessarily into the process. So this is something that I really need to work on, which is systematizing things a lot more. In fact, when we our next person we brought on, I spent a lot of actually, that's what I spent a lot of Tuesday this week writing a job spec for the video editor. So this is the first time really this is everything that your job entails. This is you know, from morning until night. This is what you'll be working on, as opposed to it's a lot more generic, like we'll see what comes in and we'll handle these problems when they come. And sometimes there's people don't know what they should be working on, and the ugly truth is sometimes I'll be like, why is this taking so long? And they're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's in terms of being a developer, I think I'm pretty good. Being a manager, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get better at that. So let's see. Sid Hart says, is it a good idea to implement ads in my beta version, or is it against policy? I don't know if it's against policy, but I don't see... I mean, if it's a beta version, I don't see why you would. It's you have a very small audience. You're not going to get the right amount of impressions unless you just want to make sure the ads work okay. But then I would think you'd put them in as test ads. Let's see. Azimuth says, putting keywords in your review replies as keyword stuffing, it could actually lower your SEO rankings. Okay, that's yeah, that's possible. I mean, I think if you were going to, if you were going to do it, I mean, there's keyword stuffing and then there's responding in the right language. So yeah, I think that could be keyword stuffing. And that's why I was saying, thanks for trying my totally cool, awesome game. It sounds a lot less, I mean, it sounds more like keyword stuffing than, I hope this helped you do whatever. So it makes it more findable. Because ultimately what you're doing with keywords is you're not just trying to put the, I mean, so like, let's say the keyword spy, which my app ranks number 2 for spy. I don't know. So it's up there. It's not ranked that because I went through and put the spy, one more time than the next competitor. It's because all these algorithms and everything are going there, and it's, they're ranking the validity of it. And it's not just that, it's the reviews. The reviews are much more valuable to, I think, to Google Play and to the App Store, because that shows how much people like the application. And also the, what is it? The retention. The retention shows how much people like and use the application. So they have to, what they want to do is give you, when you do a search, they want to give you the results that are most likely to be the ones that you want. And the only way they can tell which ones people like, because they can't programmatically find out which game is best, what they can do is see who's using it the most, are they enjoying it, and that kind of stuff. So, and it's the same with the YouTube. I was watching something this week on YouTube ads, not YouTube ads, YouTube algorithm, just saying how its watch time is more important than subscribers or likes. It's the watch time of the videos. That's once they moved away from subscribers and likes, then it was a lot harder to game the system in terms of watch time. So if people are watching more of the videos, then the better the video does. So I think it's probably the same where Google Play probably relied a lot more on reviews, and they're probably, if they're not already, going a lot more to the retention, because it's harder to game that, and it's easier to do that. But that's just where I think things are going. Let's see. Mega Man says, how long do you think your business could, oh sorry, I lost it. Where is it? How long do you think your business could survive without you? Dude, it could, actually no, because the app income, it could keep going. That's the only thing. Like, the app income continues to come in whether I'm working or not, but the rest of it, not at all. It's like, if I'm not here, then it doesn't. It's not very well set up. So it's and that's down to me. That's down to the failings on my part, and it is getting things set up in a better way. Like there was one, I let one of my developers go because he was working on a project, and I went to the States for 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And when I came back, he had done nothing, right? But he had like loads of stuff to do. But it was like, I felt like, if I have to be here all the time, and you can't even continue that, then I'll have to let you go. And of course, he was like, well, I had a question, and you weren't here to answer, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, you could have sent me an email, all this stuff, and and plus, my answer, the question he was asking would be like, do I do this thing or do I do this thing? And it would be like, in that amount of time, you could have done both, right? You could have done both, and then when I came back and said that one, you say, okay, it was already done. But instead, everything halted, and he just skied for the next few weeks, which was kind of it was a pain. Let's see. Flighter 1990 says, I use these to promote my Android game. Did that help? I mean, how many downloads did you get from that? Because I've used AdMob in the past. I've used AdMob probably most often than any other, or Google UAC, and it's worked pretty well. The thing that I'm worried about is all the fake clicking and stuff that I keep hearing people about. When somebody says, again, a few months ago we did a video about it. Somebody sent me an email saying, hey, if I use a VPN to do this fake clicking, do you think they'll find out? And I'm like, dude, I'm paying for ads on other things, so I'm not going to pay for ads so you can have this VPN thing. It's like, it's not a money waterfall that you just, we're not, growing money from the ground. We're earning money by bringing eyeballs into our applications. So it was, so that's what puts me off AdMob a little bit on that. I think Facebook ads work really, really well, but they're so expensive. So I'd be interested in Flighter 1990 to see how that has worked for you. And G. Henry says, don't use CPI Mobi. Their bot installs don't help. Ujawal says, hey, Eric, don't you think AdMob is getting too harsh with its policies? Recently, my app got banned because of interstitial ad placement in place where user can fill in form, even though it wasn't affecting click-through rate. If that was a case, if it was, your whole account got banned for that. If that was something, I've had that where the just recently, just this week, early this week I got an email from Google Play saying that one of my banner ads was covering the buttons, and it was because the banner should have been at the top, and I guess I made a code change, and it was a variable saying where the Y position of the ad was, so it was showing up at the bottom where all the navigation buttons were, and I didn't even realize it because when I was testing it, it kept saying no ads available. So, so I made that change and this week, but I had a warning in this case. Other times I've had similar types of things where I made the change and then I've appealed the decision and say, okay, I made this change. Could you please put it back? It was not an intentional thing. I'm just showing an interstitial ad. Unless they actually think that you're doing it on purpose, then that's bad. So I've had these decisions overturned just because I'm very open and honest about it. I was not trying to trick anyone. And it's funny, when I started doing apps, someone was telling me that everyone would give me these advice like, what you need to do is have an ad that jumps around the screen, so where you might accidentally click it, right? I was like, well, you can't do that. It's illegal. And they're like, okay, what if you had a button, and then like as soon as they're about to touch it, you could sense it, and then the button disappears, and they click on an ad and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, you can't do any of that kind of stuff. Advertising is such a strange medium, and it's funny that I make so much money from it through the ads, through the apps. I mean, because it's like I pay for ads so I can get people to use my apps. So and people use my apps so that they'll click on the ads, and it's like, and then we're all advertising for something. And at some point, somewhere, somebody has to actually buy something, which is what most of it is. So, anyway, it's just it's a strange, television is driven by ads. Magazines are driven by ads. Everything is, well, magazines. Remember what magazines were? Let's see. Siddharth says, I have 10,000 users on a beta version. You have 10,000 users on a beta version? I've never used beta. I've used beta. I've used test flight, and I've used the done beta, but like the most, or maybe I've had like 15 users on beta version. So no, that's great. I think you probably have a better thing there. So let's see. Oh, I've lost my place here. Ultron AE says, what are your favorite books? Right now I'm reading Ninja Productivity, which is pretty good, but it's kind of it's gimmicky. I like the books of Grant Cardone. I've read those recently, and those are the ones that I've probably read a few times. Tom Peters, I really like his books and his writing style, but that's, he's kind of old. In terms of like classic like business books, I've just reread The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, and that's like just a very good book in terms of, you read that thing thinking, this is everything I'm doing wrong, and he's describing all of it. Like in terms of, when you ask questions about how long would your company survive if you left, right? The E-Myth Revisited covers a lot of that stuff. It's like how to, my brother had recommended it to me years ago, and I'd read it maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and then I reread it in last week. And it's a very good book about business. In terms of computer books, the Head First Design Patterns one, I thought was probably the best computer book I've ever read. The book that had the most impact on my life ever was Visual Basic 5 in 21 Days. That was the first time I ever read a computer book and thought, hey, I could do this, right? And because you didn't learn it all in 21 days, but you realize that how everything hangs together and everything. So I mean, those are just a few. I guess I don't really have a top 10. I've got a bookcase over here where I've got several. I've got loads on my Kindle. I've been on audible.com for probably since the early 2000s, so I have like 300 books on my Audible account. Every so often I'll go through and re-listen to stuff, and a lot of times I'll listen to like the first couple chapters of something and then move on. So let's see. Siddharth, you were asking if you can help me expand my company. So yeah, well, let's see tell me what kind of skills you have there. Well, you have enough skills to get 10,000 users on beta. Let's see. Flighter 1990 says, few days ago, I wrote you an email about my Google Play visibility and downloads issues in my Android game, Steel Brawler tank game. Can you have a quick look at it? Yes, absolutely. Let's have a quick look at that one. So, sorry, I'm going down here and doing the questions, but let's have a look at it's Tommy Gunn, right? I remember your email. Let's see if we could just do this real quick. And share my screen. Play.google.com. So we have Flighter 1990 sent me an email this week asking me if I could have a look at his application, which was a tank battle game. Let's see if I can remember what the name of it was. It was none of these ones. Let's see. Let me just look it up in the email. It was Steel Brawler, so that's right. So he asked me to have a look at this, and we had you changed the icon. You've actually changed the icon since we spoke. All right, so yeah, so I think so Flighter 1990. Since you've changed the icon this week, have you seen any difference in the downloads? Have you seen anything? So the icon earlier was a tank, and it was just a tank with, I think, an orange background, if I remember correctly. So we got Steel Brawler. You've got the video here. Let's see. Okay, how to beat the first boss in Steel Brawler. Okay. Okay, I think the video is good. I mean, it could be a little bit more dynamic probably, but it's really hard to see what works. Beat various bosses, fight in the darkness. Cool. And you've got a few reviews here. So how's it doing in terms of downloads? Let's have a look at Steel Brawler tank game. I can swear that you've changed this this week. Let's go App Annie. AppAnnie.com. Here we go. So let's have a look at the ASO keywords acquisitions and see how that's doing. I know we can look at some of the other things here too, but so Brawler, you're ranking number 7 for. Actually, this is the United Kingdom. Let's go for United States because that's the that's what I want. So Brawler you're working really well. Tank Steel not ranking at all. So how are you ranking for? Let's see some of the other ones. Tank. Battle. What else will you search for? Retro. military. I'm trying to think what you would search on if you were doing this one. Okay, well that does loads, but I mean, so yeah, so you've changed the icon. You haven't seen anything yet. Have you seen? So yeah, I think we could start doing a check on some of these keywords here. So we have tank game, which you're not ranking for at all. So we can start looking at some of these other ones. So battle's another one. Did we not do? Okay, so we did battle. So we're not ranking for any of these, but we're also not. We also don't have any of these in there. I'm trying to think what people would search for if they were going to go through and do that. So let's take a look at tank game. And Tank Stars is the top one. And let's go to Google Play here too, and just create in a new tab and look at Tank Stars, which is the top ranking. Top ranking app here. Sorry guys, I'm just having a look here. So this is on. We actually want to look at the Google Play version. So they are ranking really well for Tank Stars, but we're not looking for is what they're ranking really well for, because it'd be hard to do that. But we might look at some other things that they are ranking for that might be a little bit lower hanging fruit. So is this Google Play? Yeah, Google Play, Tank Stars, Legendary, and they are ranking for. So this might give us some ideas of other keywords we can use. We're just looking at some of the top ones, but when we do the keyword research, tank, yeah, see they're ranking for tank battle, the misspelling, tank shooting, tank war. But I mean, all this stuff is different. So we can have a look at those. If we're going to go through the Google Keywords tool, we can also go through and type in tank and use that as a seed word. Let's go through and do. And another thing we could do if we wanted to do different types of keywords we could do is see what people are searching for. We could do tank games, tank wars, tank online, tank battle, 1944. So all these words, games, simulator, 3D. I like the idea of retro because it looks like a retro tank games. You know, if that was something that you could do, say, if we look at these retro tank games, I think that might be something you could rank a little bit better for if you were going to do that. So let's go tank, battle, let's go military, games, tank. Oh, so there's other things we could do, just try to bring other keywords into it, but it would help if you have a look at those keywords to see what people are searching on. Now there's different tools you could use, like what is it? Oh, the big one, Sensor Tower and everything. We can find out how many people are doing it in the search rankings and the difficulty and everything like that. You could also use Google Keyword Planner tool. So if you wanted to see what people are searching for on the web, you can kind of get a good idea of what they might be searching for on Google Play too. So Google Keyword Planner is another idea of one, and I haven't used it in ages. So let's just see if we could do that here. And I don't want to spend too much time on this question, but Keyword Planner. Here we go. Google Research. Am I signed in? I'm not signed in. All right, I'm just gonna type in my password here. I don't know if you guys can see that anyway. So let's have a look at the Google Keyword Planner, which is another free resource that we can use to do a bit of searching and keyword research. We have a tool on our website, a keyword research tool, but I think it's got a bug in it at the moment. What we're using is a open source library, which worked really well, but there's been some changes to the API, and every so often that does have some problems. So let's go back to, okay, so here we go. Let's go back to go to tools. Okay, yes, exit. Okay, so here we can see the Google Keyword Planner, which is a free tool. If you have AdWords, you go and say find keywords, type in a term, let's say tank, let's say get started, and it will go through and it will find all these different keyword options for tank. Oh wait, keyword. Why did it just show me one? Oh, I think they've changed it recently. Let's see. You would type in a seed keyword. Oh, can't complete the request right now. So I have some sort of issue. See, this is what happens when you try to demo something in a live stream. So you go to Tools, Keyword Planner, Find Keywords, Tank, Battle, Game. Game. So let's have a look at some of these. Hopefully it'll come back with some keywords. Here we go. So we got lots of different things that we can have a look at. We're not so much interested in that, but the nice thing is we can see the average monthly searches, and we can do a search by that. But we also want to see low competition. So let's say we want to see. What you could do is you can export this to Excel, and then you can say, actually, I want to decide something with a high monthly searches using those seed keywords. We don't want to do game. Game was a stupid thing to put in there, actually, because game is definitely saturated. Battle might be too, but let's have a look at tank and do that again. So let's have a look at tank. Hopefully this will work. So let's give me one. Tank, battle. Okay, results. All right, well, have a look at that, because that's basically what it does. You want to get to the point where you have all of those things, and you have it listed in terms of the competition and that, and then you can start doing some different keyword research there. So let me know if that's helpful at all, this kind of stuff. So I'm sorry so much. I'm way behind on these questions now. Let's see. Ujwal says, Eric, don't you think AdMob is getting too harsh? Okay, we answered that one. Mustafa says, hi, Eric. I have a question about daily and continuous advertising. If you talk about it in a video, it would be great. Big companies are advertising their apps and games all the time. We have ads that go all the time too, but we have them so right now we have the Google UAC ads, but only for people who are likely to make in-app purchases. So it's using the machine learning and everything there too, supposedly. But like the impression rate is really low, so I think it's something that I don't even notice spending a few dollars a day. Mustafa Demir says, hi Eric, I have a question about, okay, most of the time they're doing great. For example, Supercell, Cheetah Mobile, etc. They have got hundreds of millions of downloads, but they still advertise with a real and good budget. But I would bet that they are also making a lot more money from it. So I bet their conversion rates are probably a lot higher. They're making a lot more in-app purchases, and they're able to handle that much more. This would be a very easy decision for you to do advertisements if you knew that for every user over the lifetime of that user you made $1. You would know that spending 50 cents to acquire that user is an easy thing. But most of the time, at least in my case, I don't get that. It probably is because the user retention is a lot lower. So when I do advertising for an application, I'm looking at the cost per install, but at the same time, I'm looking at it in terms of ranking and everything like that. So let's see. That's another thing. Yeah, this week, I don't want to keep going. I'll answer some of these questions, but this week I did speak with an ASO guy, and they had this. Basically, they moved from ASO into search ads. So they said, we have this algorithm that can help with search ads and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, but it was iOS only, and I'm like, I'm not really interested in search ads, but we can get you a user acquisition at 38 cents a user or something like that, which is good. But it was like, if I'm not making 38 cents a user, then it doesn't really make a difference, does it? So it was apples and oranges with him. So let's see. Okay, Eric, you work all the time. Let's talk about some off-topic things. What do you love to do other than development and baseball? I think that's it. I like to go to the movies and stuff, I guess. But and then we went to the beach this week, which was nice. But it's not very often I get to do those things. And I like doing the videos. I like doing the videos. And when I'm not doing the videos, it's nice sometimes when you learn how to do something new in editing, and you guys notice when I learn something new in editing because I overuse it like I cook dinner 3 times a week at home too, which is I am the worst cook ever. I hate cooking. I hate it. I hate trying to think what to cook. I hate cooking. I hate cleaning up. I hate everything about cooking. You know, and I know some people who absolutely love it, right? So it's you know, I think it's the same thing with when I talk about, but you know, every so often I'll learn something new. Like I'll learn how to make lasagna, and then I will do it to death, and my kids get sick of it. They're like, Dad, please stop making lasagna. We're so sick of lasagna. I was like, oh, yeah, but it was like something new I added to my repertoire. Let's see. Every day, every moment to scale their business. Are you doing to your mobile apps and games right now? Am I doing continuous advertisements? Yes, but ideally we could do the advertisements in terms of keyword rankings and everything that's not expensive. That is, I mean, because an advertisement, what an advertisement does is it gets it in front of the right people, rather than you have to get all your bits and pieces out there into the search algorithms, out into the point where they find a blog post or a bit of social media about it. So there's only so much you can do. So if you get an ad, you can put your ad in front of the right people at the right time, but you have to pay for it. So if you could build a channel, or if not a channel, if you could build a platform where people can find these kind of things, and it's better. But yeah, we're always trying to do that. And this is one of the things, I think this week we started working on Ear Agent for the first time in a long time. Well, a few months anyway, just trying to think, how can we increase this conversion rate? How could our conversion rate on that application for in-app purchases is like 0.02%, which is really low. We're getting a lot of traffic through. We're getting people to walk through the door, but I'm not spending enough time focusing on the conversion rate. Why aren't enough more people making purchases? I could take the easy route out and say, well, that's just because it's Google Play and people don't buy things on Google Play, which is what I've said in the past. But saying, well, am I really changing things enough that we can examine that, you know, well enough? So Abalash says, hey Eric, hey, how's it going? Mustafa says, do you think we should do that for indie developers too, to constantly to appropriate budget for yourself? Yes, if you can afford a budget, yes, definitely spend some money on advertising, but that's if you can afford it. Yes, so apps with Jeff Garcia. Hey Jeff, is this Jeff or is this somebody from the apps? Do you still play Impossible Fidget Hop for iOS? I don't think I've ever played Impossible Fidget Hop. Maple Syrup says, how much would Facebook ads cost for 1,000 downloads? It really depends. You need to put that through. You got to think about, a lot of times they'll charge you on cost per install, but they still charge you per impression. So like if your app really sucks and you do a cost per install, they're only going to show it to so many people, because there's only so much real estate advertisement they have out there. So they still have to charge you per impression. Because this is something I thought about. I thought, well, why, if I'm doing a CPI campaign or cost per install campaign, why am I paying for impressions if nobody's downloading? And you have to think about it. Well, the fact that they find your application and they're not downloading it, that's more down to you. So it's, you know, they can't, you know, guarantee that. And so it really is variable the way that it works. So yeah, I can't give you an exact number on that. I think you should probably just test it out. Let's see. Okay, cool. So, oh, you guys have carried on with this conversation. G. Henry says, which is better, AdWords, AppBrain, or Facebook ads? Facebook ads work much better because you could target specifically who you want to do, but they cost a lot more. AdWords, I've done AdWord campaigns where I've done 2 cents per click or 1 cent per click, right? And because there's so much inventory out there, I mean, there's so many apps out there, it's going to get the impressions and going to get some downloads, and it's going to get the clicks, but whether or not those result in actual installs, that's the whole thing. So let's see. Wilson Isaac, please tell me how I could get money in Android freelancing. So if you're Wilson, if you're an Android developer, I would say go on Upwork is probably the best. I mean, if you don't know who to go to, you know, people are always looking for Android developers, but there's also a lot of Android developers out there. So, and you have to think about if somebody's searching on Upwork, there's a lot of developers there. So if you start building up your profile with good reviews, then that's probably the best way forward. Now, my problem with Upwork, and the reason why we don't put our stuff on Upwork, is because most people going there are looking for the lowest possible bidder, and our clients are a little bit larger and they need larger projects and something to follow all the way through. So, like one of the video topics I have on my list, my to-do list for this week, is I want to talk about freelancers, because if you hire like a part-time freelancer, sometimes it works out great, but other times, you know, they're a freelancer. They may have other projects going on. They may be working a full-time job. They might be able to get you 80% of the way there, but then they're too busy with it. They've got kids, they've got work, they've got home life, and they just can't finish it. And you're like, hey, I need this done like today, and they're like, I do it next week maybe, and they're just trying to squeeze stuff in. I mean, the reason I bring that up is because I did have somebody ask me for some freelance work that I used to work with years ago, and recently asked me for some freelance work, and I was like, oh, you know what, I don't, you know, it sounds like if he had left his job, then I might consider it, but because he's still working full-time at the other job and just wants a little extra money, in his mind, he's just like, he could just do little bits and pieces. But, you know, in software, you know, that first 90% is really easy, and it's that last 10% that's really hard, just like nailing down those bugs and everything. At least that's my experience. Which Google Chrome extensions do you use? I've been asked this before. I'm not sure how relevant it is. I use stuff like Buffer and you know, the Buffer and LastPass. There's nothing really app related on there. I did have for Apple I did install that one on there, but I didn't like the fact that it would go into my Google Play account. Sorry, my AdMob account without me, you know, doing anything. So I don't really have any that I use for that. Let's see what else we have here. Adam Major says hello. Hey, how's it going? Did you use Realm.io? No. What is Realm.io? Is this something we talked about before? Because I can't remember what it was. Let's see. Amit says, I have applied your suggestion and get organic downloads, but sir, today I found my impression click-through rate of 12% on my app banner and 15% on interstitials. Clicks are 12 out of 138 and 1 out of 13. Is it safe? That doesn't sound unreasonable to me, but you know, it should. I mean, as long as it's organic, you know, you should be okay. Let's see. Thank you so much. Flighter 1990, thank you so much for the detailed answers. I really appreciate it. I will try to work again on my ASO using tools you mentioned, so maybe I will manage to get higher ranking. Thanks again. No problem. Deepak says, my Google Play console got terminated last month, feeling very low. What should I do right now? Deepak, here's a question, because this is something, because I've never had my account terminated. Please don't let me be tempting fate by saying that. But I mean, have you tried to create a new one? Will it let you? I mean, are you able to just, create another Google Gmail name and then do it that way? Or is it something that, do they prevent you from doing that somehow? Because I've always been curious about that one. Yeah, G. Henry says create a new one. Jay Matthew says, do you have any marketing advice for a B2B SaaS startup? I don't believe the App Store ranking is very important for me. Do you agree? Yeah, dude, a B2B apps, a SaaS startup would be awesome. You should do have a look at like landing pages and Facebook ads, because if you do a B2B SaaS project, you know exactly who you're looking at. You know what you could do. This is something we've done. I'm not gonna say we've done it successfully, but we've done it a bit. Where if you use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so you have to pay for it like 50 pounds a month or something like that. But you could go through and I mean, it's really good search tools. But you start putting ads in on LinkedIn. Doing LinkedIn ads, so you can specifically target those businesses that you want to use your application. So you could do that as a first one through. And if you're able to get them to click onto your website, you can have the LinkedIn pixel, the Facebook pixel, and the Google retargeting code. And then that way, wherever they go afterwards, they can see your advertisements too, so that they know who you are. So even So like in Facebook, it'd be really hard to target like the CTO of a whatever, a financial company, a CTO of a financial company, because you don't know necessarily who they are. You just know that their personal stuff. But if you are able to place that retargeting pixel through LinkedIn, then at that point you do know who they are, and if they are clicking through to your website, at least because maybe they're interested. And it doesn't have to be an ad. It doesn't have to be, say, hey, download our new service, but it could be like if your service is about whatever it is, you could say an article, the five best ways to do that, 5 best ways of that, and really reaching out to what those people would be interested in, right? Read the book .com Secrets by Russell Brunson, which is really kind of corny and tacky, and it talks a lot about webinars and stuff, but they do talk a lot about doing this kind of stuff where you're able to specifically target. And especially if you have a B2B SaaS, you might be having a subscription where you're making, well, let's say you're making $5 a month from them. I mean, that's much better than a one-time $3 app download. So you can have something where you have recurring revenue, so that you know how much you can spend on each of those users. So now I think I'm actually kind of jealous. So, we need to, God, you know what? I need to do a B2B SaaS as well. I'm just going to steal your idea. Tell me what your idea is so I can steal it. All right. I'm just kidding. I've never stolen anyone's idea. Let's see. So that was, let's see. We got Parwez Khan says, sir, I have an app idea, but I don't know much about coding and all that stuff. How can I make an app then? Should I go to an IT, or because I want some of them but have doubts? Please answer me. Parwez, you need to talk about, yeah, if you do that, most of the time they'll sign an NDA. Most of the time, if you talk to an IT company, they're not going to steal your idea. They've got too much going on. They're just like me. They're a chicken with their head cut off, and they don't have time to steal people's ideas. And because it's not just stealing the idea, it's investing in it. Every time you code on something, it's not easy to do. You have to invest the time and the money. If you're a sole developer, then you have to invest a lot of time, and if you're a business owner, you have to invest the money in it, and it's a case where they'd much rather that you invested the money in it and you paid them to do it. So I think that's probably the best way to go from that. Siddharth says, can you check my app, My Themer, which has 100,000 plus, 10,000 plus beta downloads, which is it good to put ads on there? Let's have a look. I don't like the idea of putting ads on beta builds. I don't know. I think you would have to check the terms and conditions, but to me it sounds like you're doing them a favor by getting them to use your beta build. So for me, I don't know if I don't know if I like the idea of that. But let's see. Welcome Hell says, hi Eric, where is the best part of app to put an interstitial app in terms of revenue retention? I think interstitials reduce the retention and make users put a negative review. Yeah, that's really good. So, but my first app was like the interstitial would come up like first thing, because I thought at least, yeah, I would have, no, the first app I released, it was like every 4 times the app was opened, it would show an interstitial. And they told me that was too infrequently, because some people never even opened it 4 times. So then I started doing it right when they opened it, which was very annoying. Now I have it so it does every time after they perform an action, and this is something I really need to do. I need to go and reduce the amount of ads that it shows, but you can reduce it through Google Play as well. So you can say once every minute or once every 2 minutes or something like that, or 4 times a minute. I mean, you could go through and do that through Google Play, through AdMob. Sorry, not Google Play, through AdMob. But the idea, if you read through the terms, the policies on AdMob, it should be a logical transition point. So like if you're playing a game and you're going from one level to another, that's the time you should see it, and it shouldn't just pop up for no reason in the middle of nowhere. And that that's a kind of a violation there. Realm is a database better and faster than SQLite. Okay, plus the platform paid cloud for real-time database sync, similar to Firebase database, but not based on big JSON. I'll have a look at that, Adam, because yeah, but I don't like the idea of it's proprietary. I like SQLite because it's everywhere. If I have a problem with SQLite, the documentation is, I mean, somebody's had a problem with it, and I've never heard of Realm before. But I mean, it might just be because it might have lots of documentation for all I know. Mr. Neptune says, in order to do B2B SaaS, you need to maintain control of the software and have the business access software through the internet connection. If they stop paying, you could disable it. Yeah, definitely. Dharmashna Majal says, hey, Eric, why do you guys don't develop games? Because games are a crowded market and I don't know how to market them. Before I do anything, I think, why would anybody use this application? And because it's a fun game, it's never been a good thing to me. For me, the language learning games are, I'm thinking, why would somebody download this game? Because they want to learn this language, right? They want to get better at this. They're really excited about it and they're looking for stuff that, and when I started, it wasn't that crowded a market. Now it is super crowded. But if somebody wants to learn something, then that's something I could do. If somebody wants to do the ear agent thing, I know what they're looking for. I could start thinking about that. If I have something like a gem game, I wouldn't know what they were looking for, and I also know that it's very crowded. I also think that a game developer needs to be a lot more, I think they need to be a lot more like a novelist. Like, to me, I think if I was going to do a game, I think it would be the kind of thing where I would just sit there and code away and enjoy enjoy doing it, where you can see this is a bit difficult. You can make these decisions like that. And if you're working in a team, it's a lot harder to do that because it just is. I am in awe of some of these games that are done by giant teams, because I think somebody had this idea. Not only did they have this idea, they had to get it through a committee who are investing in this and saying, is it worth doing this? Does that really make sense? Does the market, whatever. Are there studies to support whether or not that will work, etc., 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 etc. So if you're like an indie developer and you're just, I mean, I am not an indie game developer by any stretch of the imagination. But I know people out there who are, and they're just, they're really passionate about what they do, and but they have that control over it, and I really envy them for that. So, but I don't know how to market that. I just don't. To me, it's like becoming a singer, thinking I'm a really good singer, but if I was a one-armed unicycling singer, then I know how to advertise that, because people could find me that way, depending on if people were searching for that. Alex Debeck says, oh, I lost it. Says, I don't know how to code. How do I stop getting ripped off by freelancers on Fiverr, Upwork, etc.? How often have you been ripped off by freelancers? I would say, if you learn how, you don't necessarily need to learn how to code, but you could check to see how the code works. And you could give them stuff. You could separate out let's say you could separate out the work between a developer and a designer, where the developer uses one set of graphic resources, and then the designer can redesign those resources, so that you separate those. We've done that for one application where we had no graphic resources. We started doing the game development first, which was a mistake. So the developers finding all kinds of stuff, and in the end, we just had to resize everything and get the designers working in it. It was almost like a reskin project, but it's not like on a code that we actually had. Parwaz says, "Sorry, sir, I don't understand well. Let's see. What should I do to execute this idea?" I would say talk to some app developers, and that's probably the best way to do it. Rodrigo missed the live, but here now. Oh wow, we're still going. True Dreams. Hey Eric, just see I am late. Okay, cool. Warning: Firebase has quite a few limitations. Be careful. Yes, this is something. If you start using Firebase in anger, you start to notice certain things that you run into those usage limitations very fast. We have an application for a client where we started using it and everything was working fantastic, and then like within 4 days we reached into the free limit, the free limitation, and we had to like scale it down quite a bit, and then we moved up to Flame, which was better, and then we ran out of space there, and then we had to go to the other one, but it was a lot of that was because we were in development and we were downloading too much data at the same time, but we were really running out of room for storage, so we had a bunch of images on Firebase storage. We moved those over to AWS S3 because it's a lot cheaper and a lot faster. The images were also too large, it turns out, anyway. And also if you use cloud functions, so we had cloud functions, so we had this, so talk about using SQL database and then the NoSQL JSON database, so Firebase, right? We had everything going into the real-time database in Firebase, which is great. It works fantastic, but we also need to do a lot of reporting, so I needed item by item stuff. So I thought, why don't we just do a cloud function where the so on a trigger, when we update the Firebase real-time database, at that point it launches a cloud function which will insert into another server a MySQL database. Perfect, right? Everything worked great in development, and we put it on the server, and you need to have the paid version in order to have external calls going through that. It was just one of these little things that I probably should have read up on before I actually did it, but this kind of stuff happens. Let's see, what do we got? What do we got here? Anurag says, "Hey Eric, kindly do some tutorial review vids on tracking SDKs like Kochava, Tune, etc. They have so many parameters and it's really confusing. Also, suggest some good CPI networks. Thanks." I haven't heard of any of those. I'm still just Firebase and Google Analytics. I guess I'm kind of a rube. I guess I know there's always these flavor of the month tools that come out, and it's really hard to stay focused if you keep chasing these things, which is my way of thinking. There may be something that's much better out there, and they're always trying to pitch, hey, try to use our service because it's better than this. And if I don't see the immediate benefit, then I don't launch into it. So like stuff like Kochava and Tune, I'm wondering how they differ from like Google Analytics and stuff like that. Dinesh says, "I am a junior developer from underdeveloped country. What's your message advice to me?" There's pros and cons. I think if you're in an underdeveloped country, then there's probably less competition for your skills. If you're a junior developer, that's a temporary thing. You become a senior developer. You have access to all the same information that most of us have, so you could become better at that and get better at promoting yourself to others. So let's see. But I mean, does that help at all? I mean, I'm living in the UK, and where it's good because there's lots of resources. There's also a high cost. We talked about this week in the videos. A high cost of living. So my AdMob revenue, I would love it if my AdMob and in-app purchase revenue just covered all my expenses, but it doesn't. So, I mean, it would be close if I got rid. If I just let the team go and just like I'm just gonna be this indie guy and grow my hair out and just do that. That would be awesome. Grow a big long beard, sit here and code away games. That would be kind of cool, and just live off the app income. But I would be a meager existence so far. But I would think that living someplace where you have less competition, the fact that if you have a lower cost of living, then if you do some freelance work through Upwork or whatever, you could charge less, right, and be much better at what you do, but still at the same time be better than everybody in your region. So I mean, but again, I don't really know. Tom Sutherland says, "Hello Eric, hey, how's it going?" Let's see. Sandeep says, "How to fool people with screenshots? Check out package name." Supercharging. Okay. Mr. Nettoon said, "Game development is very fun, in my opinion." I think I would. I like doing the stuff we do in Corona, which is very basic. It's like I can't call myself a game developer because even my kids say, "Dad, why don't you make something that's fun?" And it's like, well, I'm just not. So let's see. So Alex, sometimes I don't really want to get ripped off, but sometimes the code sucks and the app doesn't work the way like I want it, or I have to get it refunded. Yeah, I think it's that's always a danger. You need to specify everything to the nth degree, and and make sure it's contingent on the payments. So a lot of times they'll do the bare minimum, and you have to make sure that no, in order for this project to be complete, these things need to be completed. And sometimes, I mean, even I'm this way too, where you could be very vague with the specifications and say afterwards, no, it was supposed to work like that. I would have expected it to work like that. I would have expected it to work like that. But they don't know that. They're just like, you didn't say that up front, and stuff like that. But if they're just doing the bare minimum, yeah. And I have actually, Alex, I've hired people on Upwork, and they were so confident that they could do this thing, and then once they start asking these really scary questions, and they can't get it done, and it's like there's been a few times where I've had to hire somebody on Upwork, and I still paid them, and maybe I shouldn't have, but and then I had to go someplace else to fix it, and it's just that's the hard bit about Upwork, because they're freelancers, right? They could be, freelancer is not a bad term. I mean, I hire freelancers all the time, but it could be freelancers where they're like dedicated to, I just want to work at lots of different places. I want the freedom of the lifestyle that brings. Or they could be freelancers like, I've got a few hours at night and I just want to do this, while I'm, I've got work, I've got my kids, I've got, I've got the book club, I don't know, whatever they're into, right? But then they've got a few hours and think I might as well make a bit of money because I'm talented. But then what you need is something a lot more than those few hours take. So as soon as they start doing it, they resent you every time you ask for an update. So that could be one of the problems there. Let's see. True Dreams asks, what do you about the future of your company? The future, you will try to be more apps or rather than for clients. If we could find something that mostly what we're focusing on is client work. So we're trying to get that way, but it also has, because we're doing bespoke development, and this goes back to the eMyth thing, where we need to get a lot more streamlined in the way that we do things, and we do that all the time. But sometimes it can be a bit difficult when you bring on a new developer or you work with a new development team. They're saying this is the way we normally work, and I said that's not the way that I want to work. I want things to be done this way, right? And it's trying to manage there's a certain way that I want the client to feel about the process. I want them to have a certain experience, right? And I also want the developers to have a certain experience there. And sometimes the developers they're thinking about the code, and they're thinking, well, this, you said this is what you want, this is what you want. We'll come back to me in 2 weeks or whatever. I said no, I want the client to know what's going on. I want frequent updates and things like that. And it could be very challenging. And sometimes I just completely, I sit down like when I'm depressed, I'll just come in. I'm working on my own apps today. I'm just gonna, I just gotta go dark. I'm just gonna turn everything off. I'm just gonna work on my own apps today because those are nice too, right? You talk about every company. Most companies they would rather have something that works as a product, and that product might be an actual product like an app, or it might be a system, a way of doing things, and that would be kind of how we want to do things. Let's see. Welcome Hell says, is it difficult or easy to port an app from Android to iOS using Java and Swift? I'm learning iOS currently. I think it's difficult. I mean, we've done it before, and most of the time when we've done it through black box. There's certain things out there that will do, that will do conversions, but it never works. It will like get you maybe 60% of the way there, but then you won't know, because if you're not familiar with one of the languages, you won't know what those conversions are. So let's see. Any update in the recent drop in daily downloads? No, daily installs. I haven't seen it. What I have read, I was reading a forum on Corona SDK, something completely different. And they were talking about how Google has changed their algorithm so that the apps with more crashes and more stalls are not ranking as well as they used to. So they're starting to use some of that logic. So that might be part of it. But no, I haven't heard anything like officially from that. Yeah, Adam Major says, yeah, welcome Hell. If you want cross-platform, maybe you should try to learn Flutter or React Native. Maybe these solutions are fast for you. That's exactly what I would say. I mean, I think it's, if you're going to do both platforms, that's I think those are really good tools to use. And Flutter it's still the flavor of the month. It's something that I've done the tutorials on, and I think it looks really cool. But but I'm not by no means an expert. I spent so much time in meetings and stuff, especially like this week, that occasionally I'll go in and say, I'm just going to write this whole thing myself, and then I realize I go back to my inbox and I've got 100 emails I've got to answer, and I've got all kinds of stuff to do, and that stuff. So Emilio, hey Emilio, how's it going? Great job, keep doing the live chats. Thanks. I hope this is useful, guys. Let's see. And again, I think it's more you guys answering the questions too, because I'm just as a group, I think we're better off as a group. This is our mastermind each week. So Adam Major says, Google Play will require that new apps target at least Android 8.0 API level 26 from August 21st. That is the video topic for Sunday. I just recorded it. I'm a few days ahead on the video. You can tell because I'll be wearing this shirt on Sunday's video. But yeah, as we talk about the email we got through on the 1st, which was Wednesday, we got through the email saying, don't forget, we got Target SDK 26 from the 1st of November. We're gonna have to update, and we use Corona for a lot of our apps, and those all use Target SDK 25. So that means I'm gonna have to go through again and update them. But it sounds like it's only going to be for updates, at least initially. So we go through and update those apps, so that won't be so bad. Let's see. Tom Sutherland says, I bought an app on Flippa. It's in escrow at the moment. Have you ever done that before? No, but I've heard about it. Does Flippa, does that work the same way as like Chupa Mobile, or do you actually own the code? Like, are you purchasing something to reskin, or is it something that you're buying their existing application and their users and stuff, etc., like the same way as if you were buying a business? Is that how that works? Franco Aguardo says, Eric, can someone get sued if only a verbal contract exists and no signed contract? I don't know. I imagine I imagine it depends on where you are. I think you probably get sued for anything. It's whether or not it stands up in court. But no, I mean that's something that I don't think so. I think it's better if you get it in writing. But I'm not a lawyer, so and you know, every time I talk to lawyers, I just feel so stupid. Let's see. Parwez Khan says, okay, let's assume that went to a developer and he made my app. What after that? Will the developer have any right or authority over my app? Parwez, you need to make sure they do not have authority over your app. You need to make sure that that is clear in the conditions. You need to make sure that you ask that. If that's something that's important to you, you need to make sure that they do not have an ongoing ownership of the app. Now, if they do have ongoing ownership, they might be able to charge you less because they get like a percentage of it or whatever. But you need to make sure that so it depends on the developer. Different developers work different ways. Will he have any say if I go to some other developer in the future to add on? It depends. You're gonna have to, you know, we do it so that we just hand over the code and they could go to any developer, and it's up to us to make sure that they're happy with it, so they come back to us for changes. It's a two-way street. Like if it's a bad relationship, then that means we can also walk away from it. But it's you know, other developers, they actually do maintain some control over it because it might be built on their proprietary software, so they don't want to give you the code because they would be giving you a lot of their own code. Creative Mind says, hi. Hey, Creative Mind. Adam Major, consider using Kotlin, less code, easier than Java. You know, I've never learned any Kotlin. Let's see. Tim L says, then you need to find someone else. There should be devs out there. Aditya says, your videos always lift my mood. Oh, that's good. That's really good to hear. Yeah, there's days. I'm glad the videos help. I mean, we're trying. Like I said, we're trying to get a video editor on starting next week. So hopefully the videos get a little bit more entertaining and a little bit more stylized rather than just me slapping them together. And then also just being able to talk about what we do. I mean, hopefully we can make it to episode 500 at least, you know, on the daily one. But you know, every so often I wonder if we need to slow down because, you know, it might get kind of boring after a while. But then I think maybe I should slow down and go back to once a week, and then I'll think of all these other things I want to talk about. Think, oh, I got to tell you guys this, right? And lately I've just had microphone trouble. That's something I have. There's nothing worse than filming a video, getting back to the office, and him finding out the microphone wasn't working for whatever reason. Let's see. Tom Sutherland says, I'll own everything. They'll transfer the source code, etc. Move the app to my Google Play account. That's cool. See, that's like buying a business, right? So you're actually buying the intellectual property. It's, yeah, that I've never tried Flippa, but you know, maybe we should. So yeah, Syed says, hi, hey, how's it going? Welcome Hell says, Eric, when you do a freelance job, is it better to charge for the hour or the entire project? How much do you charge for a complex project or a simple one? We normally charge for the entire project, which means the risk is on me. And which, you know, if we charge per the hour, that would be better, but it's harder for the client when you say, so let's say let's say we charge by hour, and I think it's going to be 100 hours, for example. Like I think it's going to be like a 3-4 week project. 100 hours, yeah. So I might say that, and then we could charge by hour, and that's fine. But then once, like, if things start to go a little bit, if things start to go over, or they're taking longer than they should, then all of a sudden the client gets really stressed, and they're really, you know, they're like, why is everything taking so long? Does this cost me an arm and leg or whatever? But on the alternate side is if you do a fixed price, and then you've got the scope creep keep coming in, you have to keep saying, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. We don't have the room for the budget for that. All that kind of stuff. But then there's also less stress on your side because you're doing that. But it's you know, some people work better the one way and the other another way, and it depends on the type of project. If they come to me for an app and we're able to specify the app like really well up front, then we can give a fixed price. But if there's something like, I need you to have a look at an existing code that we were doing, or an existing application that we have, and I know nothing about it going into it, then at that point might be like a fixed type of thing. You think about like hiring a plumber to come in and look at your plumbing. You know, they don't really know what to expect, so you're paying them by the hour. But if you were going to say, you know, I want you to build something, then they might be able to give you a fixed price because they know what that entails. At least I would imagine. I'm not a plumber, but I imagine so. Rodrigo says, I'm updating SDKs while watching. Just removed Android 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.3. Good move or not? You know what? It always surprises me every time I update the SDKs on my workstation how long it takes. Right? You just think, oh, I'll just update to the latest SDKs, and then an hour later it's still going on. So, are you using Android architecture components? No, I'm not. I'm not sure what that is. I probably should look into it. Is that something new? So that's all right, guys. We've done another live stream. Let's wrap this thing up. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming by. It's really great to see you all today. We're doing another couple of videos coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow's video is about making sure that your beta build is differentiated from your live build, because of some problems that we had earlier this week. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Target SDK to version 26 is for Sunday, and then and then after that, I don't know. We'll see what we'll talk about going forward. But I hope you guys have a really great weekend. Thanks very much for showing up. It's great to talk to you guys all today, and I'll talk to you guys again on the daily video tomorrow, and we'll do the live stream again next week. All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all